Hi, I'm Sarah from Frühlingsgaben Microfarm, and today we're going to do the Frühlingsgaben Q&A for May 2013. So what this is basically you send me in a whole bunch of random questions and I randomly answer them. So I get questions emailed to me at fmicrofarm@gmail.com or also through our website, fmicrofarm.com, and also through our YouTube channel. So these are basically all the questions you guys have sent me in since last month. And last month was the first month we had done this, which was actually pretty fun. I got a whole bunch of questions and I answered, I think, all of them. And basically it's just as random as questions get. Some of them are reasonable personal questions, and some of them are about the garden or about the fodder system that we're growing or about the animals. So if you have any questions for me, and mind you, I'm not extremely experienced in the world of farming. This is only almost our third year. Woo! So, I mean, just keep that in mind, and if you read the blog or watch this channel and you have questions, go ahead and send them in to me and I will answer them next month. So, this month we have a lot of questions about the fodder system that we're growing. And what this is basically sprouted fodder. And we take barley seed and soak it and then put it in a tray and water it 2 to 3 times a day for 8 days. And then we harvest it and give it to our animals. And it's a very natural feed. It's almost like pasture grass, if you can imagine that. Except we don't have pasture land. We only live on a 1/4 acre here, so we just don't have the space for that. But we would like to feed our animals as healthy and naturally as we possibly can. So I have a little sample of our fodder here. This is day 7 fodder, so this will go out tomorrow. I already fed all the animals today. So this is one tray. I think it is 9.5 inches by 13 inches or something pretty close to that. I got this tray at the local dollar store for obviously $1. And I drilled holes in the bottom of one side. Can you see that? And so what I do is I put them at an angle in this rack, water it 2 to 3 times a day. And over the course of 8 days it grows into this. And see, it grows this beautiful mat. This is all roots. It's soilless. And I basically hack it up and then feed them in the mornings this sprouted barley fodder. And I feed that to the rabbits in addition to hay. I have 9.5 pound rabbits, which means I give them 6% of their body weight in sprouted barley fodder, which is a little over 1/2 pound per rabbit, adult rabbit, mind you. And then they get all the hay that they want to eat, which I feed orchard grass, because that's what's available here. And then I also feed about a 1/4 cup of black oil sunflower seeds daily. And you don't have to feed the black oil sunflower seeds. This fodder is a fairly complete nutrition base. But I feed the black oil sunflower seeds because I raise French Angoras, which are wool producers, so in order to get that extra special wool, I feed them black oil sunflower seeds. So that has oils and fats that are pretty helpful to their coats. So that's what I feed the rabbits. And then, of course, they get water and a mineral salt lick. And then the chickens, this is all they get, is the fodder. For 6 chickens, I give them a full tray, which ends up being about 6 pounds, 5 to 6 pounds. And I feed them, I think I figured out about 3 to 4% of their body weight, the chicken's body weight, daily in sprouted fodder. And then they also get free choice grit, which could even just be sandy soil, which is what I have, and oyster shell. I was feeding them their eggshells back, but I noticed that I wasn't getting as many eggs when I did that. So I stopped doing that and just bought some oyster shell. It's a calcium supplement, which is really all you're going for. So they just get their calcium, their grit, and the fodder, and they're doing beautifully. So that's kind of the summary on the sprouted barley fodder here for our livestock. So most of these questions have to do with the fodder, so hold on tight. Okay, our first question is, do they need to be translucent? They're referring to the trays. Do the trays need to be translucent to allow light in to reach the sprouts? No, they do not. I have seen people do black trays. The only reason mine are translucent is because they were cheap. I don't want to go to a gardening supply and buy $3 a tray. That's ridiculous for me. I'm very resourceful, which is a really nice way of saying cheap, and I refuse to spend that much on a tray that is going to be holding wet seeds. I mean, it's silly, really. So I went to the dollar store and got these. I think they're like storage containers for leftovers. It has spaghetti on it. That's how you know it's good stuff. Spaghetti. So I get these trays really cheap at the dollar store, drill some holes in it, and then you don't have to cry later when it doesn't work out because you only spent $1. So I have seen people do black trays, and in fact, a lot of the more commercial-sized fodder systems, like Farm Tech, they use like an opaque white, so it's like a solid color white tray, but they do things a little bit differently. So I don't know. It should be fine. Don't worry about translucent trays. The next question is, do you think a dark basement or cellar with minimal lighting will sprout if it is within the temperature requirements? So the temperature requirements on fodder, off the top of my head, I'm thinking it's 63 degrees to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And minimal lighting should not be a problem. It may grow slightly slower, but I don't think it'll stunt its growth. So as you can see, my living room is fairly bright right now, but we don't really get a whole lot of direct light. This is all ambient light because we're kind of in the trees. It's like a tree house. And all my fodder really gets is ambient light, just what's next to the window, because my rack is from about, yay high to the ground. And only about half of it gets ambient light through the window. The rest of it's kind of hidden behind the wall. And I haven't seen any real difference between growth up in the window and growth down on the floor. So I don't really see that being a problem, as long as there's some light coming in. And you know what? If all else fails, you can always just get a grow light. And grow lights aren't necessary for growing barley fodder, but they do help. So maybe think about that. Grow lights are expensive, though, to purchase and to run. So, I mean, your best bet would just be finding kind of like a window or a bright room that it can sit in. And I think that would do just fine for you. But try it in your basement or cellar or wherever you're thinking of and see if it works. And if it doesn't, just move it somewhere else. It doesn't have to be a big deal, right? Next question is, when you switched to sprouting fodder with your chickens, did you notice a decrease in their egg laying? Yes, I did. But you have to kind of keep in mind that I switched them from commercial laying pellets to sprouted barley fodder over the course of a month. So with any animal, you don't want to change their diet abruptly. You want to make sure that you kind of ease them in through the transition from one to the other. And so what I did was, at first I gave them the fodder as a treat, and I did that for a little less than a week, and then I slowly increased the amount that I was giving to them. And this goes for the chickens and the rabbits. I slowly increased how much I was giving them a day, and by the end of about 3 weeks, I had them at a full serving of fodder. And then over that last week, from week 3 to week 4, what I did was I slowly decreased how much pellets I was giving them. So for the chickens, I usually just fed them, out of a big container, just let them do a free-for-all there. But I actually slowly increased their daily ration of pellets since they had this full ration of fodder. And for the rabbits, I did the very same thing. I slowly gave them more and more fodder till they were at a full serving. And I always gave them the fodder first in the morning, and then I gave them a smaller and smaller and smaller amount of pellets in the evening. That way I was sure that they were trying the fodder at the very least when they were at their hungriest, which is in the morning, of course. And then they got their pellets when they were still pretty full from the day, and they got those pellets in the evening. So I did notice a slight decrease in egg laying. I only have 6 chickens right now, so it's pretty obvious when I have less eggs. I usually get 5 or 6 eggs a day. And, you know, even on pellets, I only got 5 to 6 eggs a day. But during that decrease, I only got like 3 or 4 for about 2 weeks. They were kind of running a little low. But, you know, that's just what happens when you switch food on an animal is they get kind of messed up for a minute there. Like, what? What are you feeding me? Anyway, so I'm back up to the exact same numbers that I was at before. So the fodder isn't too horrible. They seem to like it now. They're feeling a lot better about that. Especially the chickens, like when I feed the rabbits. See how this is a lot of seeds in the bottom that didn't quite sprout? I feed the rabbits first, and then I take all those extra seeds from the rabbits fodder that didn't sprout, and I put it in with the chickens, so they get kind of this half-fermented extra seeds, so they're always pretty excited about that. So I will answer the rest, or continue to answer the rest of these questions in the next video.